from her job at a private nursery school here in France. Why? Well, for refusing to take off her Islamic veil at work. Now, since then, legal battles have gone to and fro, with the latest one there earlier this year ruling that Fatima Afif was unfairly fired as a victim of religious discrimination. The court saying that France's policy of secularism did not apply in her case, as the nursery was run privately. Today, though, the case, well, it's back in court for an appeal hearing, with many, not least Fatima Afif, anxiously waiting the results. Well, our reporters have been asking if the case has made any difference to French society.
Begonia arrived in France from Spain 7 years ago. A Muslim convert, she wears the veil. Since coming to France, she's been trying to find work.
I think I can't get a job because I wear the veil. As soon as employers see my veil, they no longer see my skills or my qualifications. They only see my veil and they won't give me work.
Today she has a meeting at an employment agency in Suresnes, just outside Paris, to help in her job search. Begonia meets the requirements to teach foreign languages, but the advisor suggests that she remove her veil to find employment.
If I find myself in a situation where I can't feed my children, then at that point I'd have to see. But since we're not there yet, I'm keeping my veil, and I hope to find work wearing it.
Begonia is not the only job seeker in this situation. For the last 10 years, the French Anti-Islamophobia Association, CCIF, has been fighting prejudice and discrimination against the Muslim community. Every day, their legal department receives calls from women who wear the veil and can't get jobs. Many are highly qualified. This caller is a radiologist.
There's nothing to stop you going to interviews and seeing what happens. You can apply for jobs in the private sector as well. You should try that.
The private sector may be the only option, since wearing the veil in French public buildings is illegal. The law doesn't apply to private enterprises. The CCIF provides information, mediation, and helps veil wearers fight for their rights.
In most cases, our mediation is enough. When we remind employers that the law doesn't prohibit religious expression in the private sector, generally they conform to the rules.
Sometimes mediation doesn't work. One well-known case was that of the Baby Loup private crèche in Chanteloup-les-Vignes near Paris 5 years ago. An employee called Fatima Afif was sacked after she returned from maternity leave wearing a veil. Her boss said the company's rules had changed during her absence and that wearing religious symbols was no longer allowed. Yet Fatima's lawyer argues his client wore the veil long before her pregnancy.
We can't say that wearing a veil in itself is an act of proselytism. What's more, in the Baby Loup case, nobody had complained that Mrs. Afif or her colleagues wore head coverings. There is nothing to suggest that it had caused any anger or offence to the children's parents.
Back then, the case made national headlines. The strong French tradition of secularism versus what's known as communitarianism, recognising the rights of minorities and multicultural communities. France's secularist principle, enshrined in law for over a century, was now colliding with other rights, such as freedom of religion and to work. For the lawyer representing the Baby Loup crèche, wearing a veil is indeed proselytism.
You can express your religion however you like in private, and if there were to be faith crèches, I think that would be a very, very good thing. But we should also be able to have secular crèches. When religion prevents you from having a secular crèche, that is a problem.
Many French people are uncomfortable with individual groups wishing special dispensation for their religious expression. For businessman Ali Touati, his solution was to set up his own company, Al Muslim. The firm specialises in marketing solutions. Its employees are Muslim and wear the niqab with pride. Here, communitarianism is a real alternative to secularism.
People think Muslims setting up together like this is communitarianist, and they don't like it. But they have little choice. They come to see us through necessity. Either they give up their studies, or they come to us. That's not communitarianism, it's a lifeline. They're asking for help in a Muslim-run company.
The French government agency that monitors secularism maintains that it's for private companies to decide their own policies regarding religious expression. The Observatoire de la Laïcité believes it's not necessary to legislate, fearing that any new law would favour religious expression, rather than the secularist views that France is so well known for.
Yeah, that's our focus report there. We'll continue, of course, to follow that story during the day here on France 24. Now, though, it's time for today's sports action. Here it is for you.
Monaco's Eric Abidal left Barcelona after 6